Let me ask you something. Have you ever thought you were safe in a relationship only to find yourself blindsided by broken trust? It feels like the rug got pulled out from under you, your emotions hijacked, your pride stripped, your time wasted. The painful truth. Some women are wired with patterns that make betrayal almost inevitable. It's not about you being good enough. It's about them needing something you can't give. And if you don't know how to recognize those patterns, you'll always be caught off guard. That ends today. I'm about to reveal the 5 types of women who are most likely to betray their men and how you can spot them before they destroy your peace. Now listen carefully. These are not all women. These are psychological patterns that can appear in anyone. But today, we're focusing on how they show up in the dating context for men. So, let's begin. The first type of woman looks thrilling, spontaneous, impossible to resist. But the same rush that draws you in is the very thing that makes her vanish when you least expect it. Number 1, the thrill seeker. She's exciting, spontaneous, and she will break you without warning. At first, this kind of woman feels like a breath of fresh air. She sweeps into your life with energy, laughter, and endless stories of her next adventure. You think you've hit the jackpot. She's fun, magnetic, and every day feels like something out of a movie. But here's the catch. Thrill seekers don't stay. They run on adrenaline. And when the buzz fades, so does their commitment. The psychology is simple. Her nervous system is wired for the high. She's chasing novelty, not stability. For her, a relationship is just another ride at the amusement park. It's not about you being boring or unworthy. It's about her addiction to the next rush. And once she feels the comfort of routine creeping in, she starts scanning the horizon for her next source of excitement. Let me give you a story. Mike, a 45-year-old engineer, thought he finally met the one. Her name was Linda. Every weekend, Linda wanted road trips, late-night concerts, or spontaneous getaways. At first, Mike loved it. After years of routine, it felt like a second youth. But then, Linda started pulling away. She began comparing him to men she met on her adventures. One night, she looked him in the eye and said, "You're just too steady. I need more." Within a week, she was gone, already on her next trip with someone else. Mike's mistake wasn't that he was steady. His mistake was not seeing the signs earlier. Thrill seekers don't talk about their past relationships as growth. They talk about them as pit stops. If you listen closely, you'll notice a pattern. Quick highs, quick exits. They'll tell you stories of crazy times with their exes, but never about building something real. That's your red flag. Here's the truth. There's nothing wrong with a woman who loves adventure. But when her life is an endless chase for highs, you can't compete with that. You'll always lose to her next adrenaline hit. She'll rationalize it by saying, "You're not exciting enough." When in reality, her emptiness demands constant stimulation. So, what's the solution? Observation and testing. Pay attention to how fast she moves from one thing to another. Jobs, friends, hobbies, even apartments. Does she ever stay long enough to invest, or does she leave the moment it gets routine? Test it intentionally. Slow down the pace. Suggest a quiet weekend in a routine dinner or a stay-at-home movie night. If she instantly shows restlessness or irritation, you've got your answer. Because here's the harsh reality. If a woman can't sit with stillness, she'll eventually run from it. And when she runs, she won't look back. Don't make the mistake Mike made. Don't fall for the illusion that her excitement means depth. It doesn't. It means instability. And you deserve more than being another checkpoint in someone else's adventure. Now let me warn you. Some women don't just chase thrills. They chase validation, and that kind of hunger can be even more destructive. Number 2, the social butterfly. She charms everyone, but that charm is never just for you. When you meet this type of woman, you feel like you've won the lottery. She's magnetic. She walks into a room and every head turns. She knows how to make people laugh. She knows how to make a stranger feel like a friend, and she knows how to make you feel like the most important man in the world. But here's the catch. She's doing that with everyone. The psychology behind the social butterfly is rooted in validation addiction. She thrives on external attention. She doesn't just enjoy socializing. She needs the energy of being desired, admired, and noticed. Her self-esteem doesn't come from within. It's borrowed from every compliment, every glance, every text that lights up her phone. Take David, a 52-year-old manager. His girlfriend Carla was the life of every party. At first, David was proud. He loved walking into events with her on his arm, watching people light up when she entered the room. But slowly he noticed something. Carla's phone was always buzzing, and it wasn't just girlfriends checking in. Late-night texts from male friends, flirty banter with coworkers. And when David asked about it, Carla brushed him off with, "Oh, come on, don't be insecure. They're just friends." Weeks later, David realized he wasn't competing with one man. He was competing with the entire world. That's how it happens. The social butterfly creates the illusion of loyalty while quietly feeding her need for attention everywhere else. It often starts with emotional betrayal, late-night conversations, secret inside jokes, playful banter with men who aren't you. She'll justify it by saying it's harmless. But let me be brutally honest. Emotional betrayal is betrayal. If she's giving her secrets, her vulnerability, her late-night energy to another man, you've already lost exclusivity. The physical step is just a matter of time. So, how do you spot her? Look closely at the little things. Does she thrive in environments where men give her attention? Does she flirt with waiters, bartenders, or even your own friends under the excuse of just being friendly? Does she get defensive when you bring it up, making you feel guilty for even noticing? That defensiveness is your signal. That's not friendliness. That's a craving for validation. Now, here's the painful part. Men like David often doubt themselves before they doubt her. They think maybe I'm overreacting. No, you're not. If her attention is spread so thin that you feel like just another audience member, it's not your imagination. It's her pattern. The solution? Pull your energy back and observe. Stop feeding the endless loop of validation. Cut down the compliments. Don't always be available. A woman who is addicted to attention will panic when her primary source goes quiet. That's when you see the truth. Does she lean into you, craving your attention? Or does she instantly turn to others to fill the gap? That test will show you exactly where you stand. Because here's the thing. A social butterfly never belongs to one man unless she chooses to ground herself, and most of the time she won't. Protect yourself. Don't mistake charm for loyalty. Don't confuse attention for affection. You deserve a woman who lights up for you, not for every man in the room. And let me warn you, while some women need too much attention, others protect themselves with too much distance. And that's a trap of its own. Number 3, the too independent type. She doesn't just protect her space, she protects her exit route. At first, this woman seems like the dream. Confident, self-sufficient, and not clingy. You admire her independence. You tell yourself, finally a woman who doesn't need me for everything. But slowly you notice something. She's not just independent, she's unreachable. She keeps you at arm's length. And no matter how much you invest, you're never fully inside her world. The psychology here is subtle, but dangerous. Independence is healthy, but when it becomes a shield, it's no longer independence, it's distance. This woman values control above connection. By keeping you outside her inner circle, she guarantees she never has to be accountable. She's building walls, not bridges. And the moment you ask for clarity, she hides behind her favorite excuse. We never define this. Translation: I get the benefits of you, but I owe you nothing. Let me tell you about Tom, a 58-year-old business owner. Tom met Julia, a driven consultant who always seemed busy but charming. For months, Julia kept their relationship casual. She never introduced Tom to her family or friends, and whenever he hinted about the future, she brushed it off. Sometimes she would disappear for days, texting only busy. One evening, Tom discovered Julia had been seeing other men. When he confronted her, Julia calmly said, "We weren't official." Tom realized he had been investing in someone who never let him in and never planned to. That's how this type operates. She keeps you close enough to enjoy your attention, your resources, your presence, but far enough to escape at any moment. It's a setup where you're emotionally committed, but she's strategically detached. In her mind, betrayal isn't betrayal because she never promised you exclusivity. You see commitment, she sees convenience. So, how do you spot her before it's too late? Watch for these behaviors. She's vague about her personal life. You don't meet her family. You don't know her friends. And her world feels locked. She avoids serious conversations about us, using humor or silence to change the subject. She frequently disappears without explanation, only to return as if nothing happened. And when you ask for clarity, she paints you as too needy, when in fact, you're asking for the basics of any relationship. Here's the harsh truth. If a woman constantly builds distance, she's not protecting her independence. She's protecting her freedom to do whatever she wants without you holding her accountable. And yes, that includes seeing other men. The solution? Test consistency. Don't chase. Don't beg for more access to her world. Instead, pull back and watch. If she truly values you, she'll bridge the gap. She'll bring you into her world, not keep you locked outside. But if she doubles down on her walls, take it as proof. She's not too independent. She's just unavailable. Men like Tom waste years trying to earn their way into that fortress. But you don't win by battering down walls. You win by recognizing when you're not being invited inside and walking away with your dignity intact. And here's the kicker. While some women keep you at a distance, others pull you in close, only to make you the villain in their story. That's the next trap you need to know. Number 4, always the victim. She's fragile, she's sweet, but she will never take responsibility. At first, this woman pulls you in with her vulnerability. She tells you stories about how every man before you hurt her, abandoned her, or failed her. You feel the urge to protect her. You think, I'll be the one who treats her right. But that's the trap. No matter what you do, you'll never be good enough, because in her world, she's always the victim. The psychology here is manipulation wrapped in innocence. Playing the victim allows her to avoid accountability. If something goes wrong, it's never her fault. If she betrays you, she'll have a laundry list of excuses. She'll twist the narrative until you're the one apologizing, even though she crossed the line. Take Robert, a 50-year-old teacher. He met Sophie, a woman who seemed gentle and misunderstood. On their first dates, Sophie poured her heart out. Every ex was painted as a villain. One was emotionally unavailable. Another betrayed her. Another never truly understood her. Robert felt honored. He thought he was different. Months later, Sophie grew distant. When Robert discovered she had been involved with another man, her response cut him to the bone. If you had been more attentive, I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. Suddenly, Robert found himself apologizing for her betrayal. That's the power of the victim mask. It makes you second-guess yourself. It turns her betrayal into your fault. And the more you accept it, the deeper you fall into the cycle of self-blame. So, how do you spot her? Listen carefully to how she talks about her past. Does every story end with her being the wounded one, while her exes play the role of villains? Has she ever once acknowledged her own role in a breakup? If the answer is no, you've got your red flag. Victim players don't just tell stories, they rehearse them, and they weaponize them to gain your sympathy and lower your defenses. Another sign is how she reacts to conflict with you. If she consistently flips the script, making you the problem, regardless of the situation, you're not in a partnership. You're in a blame game you can never win. The solution? Detach from the guilt trap. Stop rushing to fix what she claims you broke. Instead, observe. Hold her accountable by asking, what part of this do you own? A woman who values growth will reflect, even if it's hard. A woman addicted to the victim role will dodge, deflect, or double down on blaming you. And when you see that, you need to step back because you can't build trust with someone who refuses to own their actions. Men like Robert waste years trying to love her better, thinking they'll be the one who finally heals her. But you can't heal someone who won't admit their wounds come from within. You'll just bleed out in the process. And here's the cold truth. If she always casts herself as the victim, she's already setting up the stage. One day when betrayal happens, you'll be the villain she blames, and she'll believe her own story. Now, if you think that's destructive, wait until you meet the final type. Because some women don't just avoid responsibility, they weaponize betrayal as payback. And that's the most dangerous kind of all. Number 5, the revenge type. She doesn't betray out of boredom. She betrays to make you bleed. This is the most dangerous type because she doesn't start off disloyal. In fact, in the beginning, she might be the most loyal, committed woman you've ever met. She invests, she shows up. She makes you believe you finally found stability. And that's what makes the eventual betrayal cut even deeper, because when she turns, she doesn't just cross a line, she uses it as a weapon. The psychology of the revenge type is built on resentment. When she feels wronged, she doesn't process it, she doesn't communicate it, and she doesn't move on. She stockpiles it. Every forgotten anniversary, every offhand comment, every moment she felt slighted becomes ammunition. And when she decides it's time to strike back, betrayal is her weapon of choice. For her, it's not about desire, it's about punishment. Let's talk about Steve, a 47-year-old doctor. Steve was in a 1-year relationship with Megan. He cared for her, worked long hours, and thought everything was stable. One night, he forgot their anniversary. Megan didn't argue, she didn't cry, she just went silent. Days later, Steve discovered Megan had gone out with a male colleague and made sure he found out. When he confronted her, she looked him dead in the eye and said, "Now you know how it feels for her." Betrayal wasn't an accident. It was a calculated strike. That's what makes the revenge type so destructive. She doesn't just betray you, she wants you to know about it. She wants you to feel the sting. Unlike the thrill-seeker who runs for excitement or the victim who avoids blame, the revenge type acts with cold precision. It's not impulsive. It's deliberate. So, how do you spot her before the damage is done? Watch how she handles conflict. Does she hold grudges long after you thought things were resolved? Does she bring up old mistakes weeks or months later just to throw them back at you? Does she punish you emotionally? Silent treatment, withholding affection, guilt trips when she feels wronged. These are warning signs of a woman who doesn't forgive, only keeps score. Another sign is the imbalance of power she creates. Instead of addressing issues with communication, she uses resentment to control the dynamic. She'll remind you of every flaw, every misstep, until you're constantly on edge, trying not to make the next mistake. And here's the irony. Even when you're perfect, she'll still find something to hold on to. Because for her, the relationship is not about partnership. It's about leverage. The solution? Don't play her game. The moment you sense resentment being weaponized, step back. A healthy woman will express her pain, work through it, and move forward. A revenge-driven woman will let it fester until it explodes in betrayal. And you cannot negotiate with resentment that's been turned into a strategy. Steve's mistake wasn't forgetting the anniversary. It was not seeing the way Megan stored grievances like bullets in a gun. Once he realized it was too late, the shot had already been fired. So remember this, love without forgiveness is a loaded weapon. If you're with someone who turns every slight into a score to be settled, you're not in a relationship. You're in a war zone. And wars always end in destruction. Now you know the 5. But here's the truth that ties them all together. Betrayal is never random. It's always a pattern, and if you don't recognize it early, you'll be the one paying the price. Now you've seen the 5, the thrill seeker who runs on adrenaline until she burns out and leaves you behind. The social butterfly who spreads her charm to every man in sight, never satisfied with loyalty. The too independent type who keeps you outside her walls, using distance as her escape route. The victim who twists every story until her betrayal becomes your fault. And finally, the revenge type. The one who turns broken trust into a weapon, aiming it straight at your heart. Let me be clear, not every woman will betray you. Many women value loyalty, depth, and true partnership. But the ones we've just uncovered, they leave a trail of broken trust wherever they go. Betrayal is never random. It's a pattern. And the sooner you recognize the pattern, the sooner you protect yourself from becoming the next casualty. Here's the hard truth. Too many men ignore the red flags. They convince themselves she'll be different with me. No. If the signs are there, if the behavior is consistent, you're not the exception. You're just the next chapter. And the cost of denial is your peace, your dignity, and sometimes years of your life. So, what do? Stay awake. Pay attention. Don't ignore the unease in your gut. Test the consistency. Hold her accountable. And when the signs confirm what you already know deep down, have the courage to walk away before you lose yourself. Because awareness is your armor, knowledge is your weapon, and self-respect is the only ground you should ever stand on. Remember, these patterns don't define all women. They're behaviors that can appear in anyone, but recognizing them helps you protect yourself in relationships. If this message hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe so you don't miss the deeper breakdowns that could save you from years of confusion. Hit like if you found value here. Drop your own experiences in the comments because your story might be the one that wakes another man up. And share this with someone who needs it before they walk blindly into the same traps. Remember, knowledge protects you. Awareness saves you. Don't be the man who wakes up too late.